Okay, cold open. So if this is the microphone catching on, and I thought, for what it's worth, I was at dinner tonight, and I thought I would talk about something. If they talk about Fox News being on the TV in every bar and restaurant and whatnot, of course, CNN, MSNBC are on a lot of them as well. Fox News was on at this restaurant I was having dinner at, and they showed a series of clips from the election campaigns as they're talking about the recounts and whatnot. And they showed three separate clips of Hillary Clinton. And she's in a red, blue, and a white pantsuit at different times. But I couldn't help but notice, there's three different clips, and I noticed in each one, she had one particular gesture that she was going to. Hand gestures, that is. And this is actually something that I think also played into the election in a way that many people aren't taking into account of the general personalities and the clear personalities that came through the physicality of the candidates. Oddly enough, Donald Trump is also a lot more open. A lot of the footage, a lot of the standing footage of Bernie Sanders was always him hunched over the podium like this, and but he also has some hand waving gestures off and off to the sides. Donald Trump does this a lot. There's a lot of this open hand, palm out forward. He'll then come down also like this. He'll do this half fist kind of thing a lot. And he's very fond, huge fan of one finger up. One finger. Here's an idea. It's that very much that idea. You have that classic, JonTron does this a lot too. I have many questions about this very thing. So this finger up, is a bit more important. It's a very important gesture when you think about it. Same with Trump is a fan of putting his hand up like this. He's a fan of outstretching his hand. You can see this in footage used in the Pogo Trumpular video. He does a outstretched hand, palm up to the side. He'll also do a down, maybe something, up. He'll also do the forward and a forward kind of a waving, wax on, wax off. Now, Fox News had this footage, like I said, three different instances of footage of Hillary Clinton, and her gestures were pointing to the side, but also like this. The hand, with the palms down on, and one of the things is like she's in a red pantsuit and she's like pointing like this. One of them she's a blue and she's pointing like this, and then she's in white and she's pointing pantsuit and pointing like this. And but she has this she was on the campaign trail with a very scolding hand gesture. This, you're a problem. These people are bad. I'm gonna say you and you, and she was very much singling out people in her hand gestures in these clips that they had found that they were using. And I don't think this was even a conscious, because they're also coupling it with what she was saying in these clips, or whatever it was. The noise was turned down, and I was a bit a distance away. But you can see. But hand gestures are important. Physicality is important in expressing ourselves emotionally. And if you might have noticed, I tend to flail a lot. And in that, though, but as her gestures, it came down to even her physicality. She was a very scolding, a better than you, a very dictatorial person. It's not like she rarely, I don't think there's any footage of her doing similar thing, like, oh, here's an idea. That little finger kind of coming up like this, and in the West we tend to use that a lot. Like I was pointing to early, but I think it's one of the small things, one of these many contributing factors that lost her the election. Not just the rise of the alt-right, and not the corporate ties or anything, those were larger. These were large factors, and the alt right or social media organization was part of what was just continuously capitalizing on what the small indicative flaws to what her personality is like and why she's unpresidential. She never was. There's enough horror stories coming out of her that were coming out for decades of when she was first lady of how she would treat the staff. That she was always very much a elitist personality, and that was only confirmed by things like the email leaks and the other examples of behavior of the campaign trail. In fact, actually, the press trying to cover her was often backfiring because, oh, we're so excited to be on the private plane and with her, but it was always seems to be like there was a chosen elite. Well, it was the gushing propaganda was, oh yay, we get to be part of the chosen elite. All you plebs get to do this for us, and that was that was part of the messaging that managed to backfire her. But I'm now wandering away from my point. My point was hand gestures, which are often part natural and part of these things are also cultural. We stem and certain hand gestures come with have different meanings in different cultures, but the generalities of motioning with our shoulder, our body posture, our hand posture, and our hand gestures, and are also part of signaling of different expressions. This is how we express ourselves, and what she was expressing on the campaign trail was often something that led to her downfall, compared to Trump, who had a much more open, business-like. All these open hands of his are just, and the open hands, the way he gestures with open hands often is, it's kind of all, it's all one extension of the hand away from a handshake, a business transaction. So I think that's the art of the deal is part of that. Left, right doesn't really matter so much in Trump's America as long as people are willing to come to the table. This is something that was not for the last 10 years, really wasn't going on once the Democrats took hold of Congress. And I think this is why they're now in the minority of the Senate, the House, the Representatives, and the majority of the states are now all flipped right, because they had become, the left has become so dictatorial that they're not extending. They haven't extended the hand in years. This is why you have so many people freaking out, because of the thought of who the SCOTUS appointees might be now. Because the people who were always the ones being made to knuckle under and come to the table now have control, now are the chairman of the board. They don't like that, and that is very upsetting to them. Well, I'll let this go. This is, I'd like to thank you. Check me out, Bar One Scorpio, on DeviantArt, furaffinity.net, and Hentai Foundry, Twitter as well, and Patreon. BAR, the number one Scorpio, SCORPIO. Ben Rodriguez, aka by Bar One Scorpio, and thanks. Good night.